What's up, Spellslingers? My name is Garion John Wells.
I'm Drew Flitton.
And I'm Cory Janibagian.
And this is Untap
Upkeep.
Drink.
Beer up.
All right, welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Untap Upkeep Drink. This time, we're talking about Commander 2017, the Tribal Commander decks from WotC.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm sure by the difference in audio quality, we are socially distancing ourselves at an acceptable distance via the interwebs. So today is going to be a little bit different as far as the sound quality, but we're working through this. We're making sure that everybody's safe and making sure that we're not part of the problem.
Yeah, we're trying not to take a break. Because even though Cory got delayed and all that stuff, we're still plowing ahead, keeping on schedule.
Yes, sir.
And with that, we are up to, as Drew said, C17.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in this set. Tribal decks are something that's super popular throughout the Commander scene. Everyone basically has a tribal deck.
Yeah, they're the bomb. I love them.
Yeah, they give you like a pretty direct strategy for, what to build, so you don't have to worry about crazy combos or things like that. It's like, does this fit into my tribe? Yes. Therefore, I can put it in the deck.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most basic decks you can do in any format, really.
Yeah.
And you just have a lot more style in Commander because you can use a lot of crazy different things.
Yeah. So with this, we're going to be talking about the decks that have led up to this point. I think that it gives you kind of a good frame of reference for why the tribal decks are what they are. Talk about some of the cycles. I think there's only 2 in this set, or in this series. Talk about Eminence, the new keyword ability in this set. Also, we're going to rank this set as a whole in general. And then we're going to talk about some beers.
So before we get started, we want to let everybody know that obviously we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're at UUD Podcast or Untap Upkeep Drink. We love hearing feedback from you guys. We actually have a survey going on right now through SurveyMonkey. The link is in the description. And basically, we're just trying to accommodate everybody's preferences. I know that when I'm listening to podcasts, it's different than, when Cory or Drew are listening. Drew listens at like 750% speed. That's fine. Everybody has their thing. We're just trying to figure out like what
Closer
people
to like
want.
500.
There you go.
So I guess before we really dive into the Commander stuff, let's just give a brief description of the beers we're drinking. So I kind of did my own Eminence effect here and just played puppeteer in the shadows, trying to make sure that everybody could taste the beers that everyone else was drinking. Cory, can you start us off?
Yeah, so I had the Epic Brewing Cross Fever Amber Ale. And this one is a beautiful, beautiful amber color.
And she's a tall, thick boy.
Oh yeah, she's sitting at 5.1% ABV and 20 IBUs. She's super malt heavy. It doesn't have any lingering aftertaste, but those forward malt characters, they kind of sit with you. It's super smooth, a lot smoother than I thought it would be.
All right, Garen, what about you?
So today I'm rocking the Vernal Brewing Company's Imperial Milk Stout called Mama's Milk. And holy shit, this one is sitting at 8.5% ABV, and you could definitely tell. 46 IBUs, which sounds like a lot more than what I'm getting off of it. It is extremely sweet to me, but it's definitely got some alcohol there, so we'll see how that develops throughout the day.
Okay, Drew, what are you rocking with?
I've got the Templin Family Brewing Albion Triple. This is the Belgian style, and sitting at 10.2% ABV and 51 IBUs.
51.
So definitely super sweet. Got that Belgian funk that you'd kind of expect out of something like this. Well, let's jump in with previous Commander decks. All right, so I kind of wanted to briefly talk about the previous decks from the past years that WotC's provided us, just to kind of show us what it's led us to this point, because 2017 changed a lot of things in the Commander decks. So 2011 we had 5 decks. They were the wedges. Mixed themes around alternate commanders kind of messed with how synergistic the deck was in its entirety. 2012, we had the Commander Arsenal, which was absolute rubbish. 2013, again, we had 5 decks. These were the shards this time around. And they were slightly more focused around their primary commanders. And specifically, I wanted to mention that there was Oloro, who had abilities that mattered in the command zone as well as on the battlefield. We had 2014, 5 monocolored decks. These are the monocolored planeswalkers that could be your commanders. And it was a mixed bag of just like color-specific stuff. But because colors play so well into each other, but because colors play so well into themselves, they really were a lot more synergistic than I think what the individual cards looked like they were going to be. 2015, again, we had 5 decks. We had the enemy-colored pairs. These are the experience counters, which I feel like as a whole, the decks are more similar to 2013 than they were any of the other decks as far as like synergies are concerned. But then experience counters just added this like hard to interact with element from the commanders. And 2016, again, 5 decks. This time we had the 4 colored decks with incredibly strong commanders. We had the partners. The cards were synergistic with the primary commanders, not necessarily with the partner pairs, and not always with each other. But it brought us they're the best decks in the series thus far.
Yeah, that kind of set a standard for commander decks, or what people wanted out of it.
To mention that the 2016 Magus was Magus of the Will, which was Yawgmoth's Will, into a creature, and that's part of that like super cycle. And so 2016 was a big year. It was a good year. So how did WotC up the ante?
I'd like to hear Cory's opinion on this.
On how they upped the ante?
How they upped the ante, what they did, and also whether or not you felt like it was better.
I think we'll get into like final thoughts at the very end of the episode, but I think tribal decks, especially in Commander, are something that everybody loves. So I think that was a good choice for them, and they chose some of the best tribes.
Yeah, I was going to say the tribal selection was super important, I think, because like they had one that was kind of, it felt like a throwaway at first, but like the deck itself turned out to be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think what people wanted was support for lesser known tribes, but
yeah, for sure.
I think that would just be way too hard to do in a whole Commander product.
Yeah, your new cards.
I think
that you
just choosing some of the most popular tribes and giving people new ways to play those tribes, or ways to bring those tribes together, or cards that we've heard about in the lore and stuff. Finally having those cards, I think, makes this product successful in that way. I think just being tribal, the synergy is already there. Like, you can't really mess up tribal unless you have wizards and too many legendary creatures.
Or dragons, and also just all legendary creatures.
Yeah. I think the different tribes have their own problems, but I think I thought this was a thumbs up for the product, but I think 2016 is still the best. And we can get more into that later.
I'll start it off here with the Arcane Wizardry. This is Grixis Wizards, and the commander they have is Inala, Archmage Ritualist. So for 2 in Grixis, she's a 4/5 legendary creature human wizard with the Eminence ability of whenever another non-token wizard enters the battlefield under your control, if Inala Archmage Ritualist is in the command zone or on the battlefield, there's that Eminence text, you may pay 1. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that wizard. The token gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the next end step, and she also has an activated ability, tap 5 untapped wizards you control, target player loses 7 life. So I've played this deck a fair bit, and I will honestly tell you that I forget that she has the activated ability down at the bottom.
The activated ability is so weird because I think when people think of wizards, they think of like ETBs and just really good effects,
special effects,
flooding the board with a lot of wizards, which is what the second ability wants.
Yeah.
I think her first ability, though, is really powerful, except when you use legendary wizards, which a lot of the best wizards are.
Yeah. Also, wizards come at a pretty high cost as far as mana is concerned for the abilities. Like, you get a 2/2 for like 4 mana that has a good ability, but that means you have to pay 5 mana to get that effect with Inala a second time, right? And you'd be surprised at how difficult that is in this deck to be able to just pay 1 extra to do that. Like, this deck it feels like it wants to be so much more of an aggro deck than anything else, which is not what Wizards does. Like, Wizards is not a tribe that is aggressive.
Yeah, and I think just being in Grixis, obviously you can bump up the ramp if you lean more on the black side, but in a Precon, you don't have any of that.
Precon was
and so
rough.
Getting enough mana to cast your spells and then copy them, or cast your wizards and copy them, was hard enough.
Yeah, to do like any sort of interaction, it sucked. But I guess the better side of Eminence, we've got the cat deck.
Yeah, so this is the one that I got, and it was Feline Ferocity, which is the Selesnya kitty cat deck, and it had Arabo, Roar of the World, as the commander. So it's 3 green white for a 5/5 legendary creature cat avatar with Eminence. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if Arabo is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another target cat you control gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Whenever another cat you control attacks, you may pay 1 green white. If you do, it gains trample and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power.
So right away, like, I feel that that's like, tokens are powerful. Getting bonus ETB is powerful, but like, just the sheer power dump that just puts on a creature, plus trample and just like everything else.
Yeah, so at the very least, you're getting +3/+3, and then if he's on the battlefield, you pay 3 mana and double it.
Pump and smash.
I've killed a lot of people with this deck and just using those abilities in tandem, especially when you factor in double strike, then it gets really, really gross.
Yeah, so I asked you guys to give you like top 5 additions to the deck, and the first one on there was just like, yep, I have died to that card.
Yeah, some of the cards are some spicy ones. So this deck, it was, I think, the previous cat decks are basically just equipment decks, and so they're all mono white, and so having Arbo at least got you to use all the green cats as well.
Which there wasn't that many, but like Almond Cat was just released right around there.
Yeah, so a lot of the Almond cats were really good upgrades for this deck because of the power creep, those cats were a lot better than a lot of the old cats that they printed.
For sure. And then the one from Kaladesh as well. Yeah,
but there was still a heavy equipment sub-theme for this deck. I don't even know if it's a sub-theme. It's like half the deck is equipment-based.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it kind of is Voltron-esque, so it makes sense for the equipment package to be there.
Yeah.
All right, next one we got is the Vampires.
Spicy meatball.
Woof. So this is Vampiric Bloodlust, led by Edgar Markov. For 3 and Mardu, you get a 4/4 legendary creature Vampire Knight with Eminence. Whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. He also has First Strike and Haste, for whatever reason, and whenever he attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. So you're doubling the value of everything you play in this tribal deck.
Yeah, so you're basically making an army until he comes out, and then when he gets out, you can immediately swing and then buff your whole army.
And pump it. Yeah, it's not even till end of turn, and they're counters, so you're stacking them, swinging out, and just murdering bitches.
Yeah, it's I mean, the Eminence effect itself is pretty powerful, so once he's on the battlefield and can do that, the fact that he has haste as well, like, just thank God it costs a lot of mana to play him.
Yeah,
that's the only downside you would say to Edgar is that he costs a lot, but honestly, most people, when they look at him, recognize him as one of the more broken just because he's doing so much as your value engine, and because all these creatures have Eminence, it doesn't matter where he's at. You're running and gunning.
And with Markov specifically, the fact that you do get the token for free just by playing the creature, whereas with Inala, you do have to pay that extra 1, and I mean, it's almost like the heuristic study effect. Do you want to pay 1? Like that, it heads up so much, so fast.
You're like, no, not really.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's Mardu vampires, meaning there's a lot of aristocrat stuff, and having things just to sacrifice for free, basically, is so good in these colors. And vampires already cared a lot about +1/+1 counters and combat tricks and all this crazy stuff, so
it's the perfect color combination for this type of a deck.
Yeah. Usually you think of a 6/6 as not being, or a 6-drop being not very fast, but Edgar is so fast without doing anything.
So fast. Which is why in most cases Edgar is not only considered broken, but one-on-one he's banned. So
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where it seems like a weird, oh, you only get a 1/1, but you can start doing that from turn 1. You're playing as many vampires as you possibly can.
Yeah.
It gets out of control fast.
Yeah, the damage on board that is represented in your command zone seems unintuitive, but it's very, very quick.
Okay, we got
And
one
the last
more
one
deck.
we have is the exact
All right.
opposite.
Yeah, we've got Draconic Domination. So this was the Wooburg Dragons, but the Ur-Dragon. 4 and Wooburg for a 10/10 legendary creature dragon avatar. With the Eminence ability, as long as the Ur-Dragon is in the command zone or on the battlefield, other dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That's a very strong ability in and of itself. Dragons are expensive,
very good.
so that's great. Also has flying, that's basically all dragons do. And whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards. Then you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Wow.
Big, massive effect there. The card draw that's built in, the ability to just cheat permanents out. The ability itself is insane, but it's also attached to a 9-mana dragon that costs Wooburg +4. Like that's...
So Drew, you have this deck, correct?
Yes, I do. I've been working on upgrading it, but as it turns out, good dragons are expensive.
Both in-game and out-of-game.
Yeah, true.
In
And
real
that's the
life.
reason why the Eminence effect is so good. It's just that cost
Yeah.
reduction. Like, you expect basically 6 mana for most dragons, and all of a sudden dropping that down to 5 really, like, puts your clock for damage anyways forward quite a bit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that ramp, card draw, and cheating costs are the best things in Magic, or at least in Commander.
Yeah.
And this guy does them all for dragons.
So each of these decks came with alternative commanders, like most of the decks before it, if not all. And first up, we've got the Wizzies, the Wizard deck. What are our 2 alternative commanders, guys?
So we've got Kess, Dissonant Mage, one of my favorite. I think she's probably my favorite Grixis commander. That's saying a lot because I have like 4 Grixis decks. So
She's quite good, though.
yeah, so
He's really good.
1 in Grixis for a 3/4 legendary creature, human wizard with flying. During each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If a card cast this way will be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So it basically just gives you a free flashback
Pretty
spell
goddamn good,
every
if you
single
ask
turn.
me.
Yeah, she's very, very strong.
Yeah, she's CDH. There's consultation decks with her now, but she used to be the go-to Doomsday deck after Zur. She's really good.
So
The next one
up next, we've
is
got
Mercil the Pretender. So Mercil is a goofy card. Like, it's hard to predict what's going to come out of a Mercil deck when you play against one. So again, 1 in Grixis for 4/4 legendary creature, human wizard. When Mercil the Pretender enters the battlefield, you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand or graveyard and put a cage counter on it. Mercil the Pretender has all activated abilities of all cards you own in exile with cage counters on them. You may activate each of those abilities only once each turn. So Mercil is basically like a self-contained toolbox. Wants you to have a massive array of activated abilities in your deck so that any situation that you come across, anything that you need, you can have access to. He can be ramp, card draw, he can do combo. Like, all of it is just good shit.
I've seen a Marisol deck in action, and they're wild. Like,
Yeah.
it's so hard to keep track of what they can do and what they're doing right now because there's just so many weird cards that never get used being exiled, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, Mercil's one that's just like, hey, can I read that? Just like,
Yeah, you have to read
40
every single
times.
card. It's so
The last one was a reprint, which I was a big fan of, is Marchesa the Black Rose.
so dope.
Ooh.
Marchesa have a deck based around her as well. So 1 in Grixis for 3/3 legendary creature, human wizard. She's got Dethrone. She was from the Conspiracy 2 set. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Super dope mechanic in and of itself. And we have other creatures you control have Dethrone. So huge just power buff to your board if you're swinging at the person with the most life. It's really kind of like equalizer on the battlefield. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step.
That's the money right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing you abuse.
Yeah, that's yeah, literally. Like you basically just have infinite ETBs, creatures, like combat. This deck wants to be aggro as fuck. Just kind of, like I said, act as the equalizer, attack the player in the lead. You get those counters, then you throw those creatures under the bus. You need to defend yourself, or you sacrifice them, whatever happens to be, and they come back again. You get more ETBs, you get more aggro. Like you just cycle. And
It's so hard
from what I can
stay
understand
on top of
from
a Marchesa deck because you have to just kill everything at least twice.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got the cats.
So the kitties came with 2 alternate commanders, and they're both sort of very different strategies for the tribe. So Arbo was kind of a go big guy where he pumps people up and then he can double up their attack and then trample through and just one-shot people.
Yeah.
But this next one is Nazan, Revered Bladesmith. So it's 4 green and white for a 5/4 legendary creature cat artificer. When Nazan enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment card and reveal it. If you reveal a card named Hammer of Nazan this way, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand, then shelf your library. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you may tap target creature defending player controls. So that second ability you don't really care about because tapping 1 blocker usually doesn't matter. The thing you really care about is tutoring for your best equipment card, and Hammer of Nazan is one of the best equipment cards.
Yeah, that card is insane.
Yeah, so I'll read Hammer of Nazan real quick because they go hand in hand. It's basically a partner deck with these two because you almost always tutor for the Hammer unless you tutor for like a win con or something. So Hammer of Nazan is a 4-mana artifact, legendary artifact equipment. Whenever Hammer of Nazan or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible, and equip cost of 4.
Yeah, so the equip cost on Hammer basically is never paid.
Yeah, so you get Nazan, you tutor for the Hammer. If it's the Hammer, then you cheat it onto the battlefield. If it's any other artifact, you put it in your hand. So he automatically becomes a 7/4 indestructible that cheats the rest of your equipment costs for the rest of the game.
Sounds
as long
dope
as
to
he's
me.
ranked.
Seems good.
Yeah, so he's definitely the Voltron commander because you can blink him and tutor for the best equipment you have. Another thing that a lot of people do is you put Blade of Selves on him and you swing, and then the Myriad triggers, you get your 3 best equipment, and then all suit him up because you have the Hammer out, so you can cheat him up. It's pretty gross. So this next one, it's a fan favorite, and I think this might be the best commander, not in the like 4 cats, but in this deck, I think this commander is more powerful than the other 2. So it's Miri Weatherlight Duelist, 1 green and a white for a 3/2 legendary creature cat warrior. She has first strike. Whenever Miri Weatherlight Duelist attacks, each opponent can't block with more than 1 creature this combat. As long as Miri Weatherlight Duelist is tapped, no more than 1 creature can attack you each combat. So she's the go wide strategy. You make a bunch of dudes, you swing everything out. They can only block 1 dude, and there's almost no crackback because they can only attack you with 1 guy as long as Miri's tapped.
Yeah.
And so that's the
But
basic.
you still like to have a lot of those Voltron-esque equipment cards with this gal just to protect her.
Yeah, Voltron, it helps all of these decks, but Nazan is most geared towards it. And
Yeah.
there's a token strategy sub-theme in this deck, and so Miri's focused more on that. But honestly, you can just throw her in a deck, and she's really, really good.
Yeah, addition to any deck that cares either about tokens, pillow fort. Like, it's weird how much like interaction she has across the board.
Yeah, she's very, very strong.
Now, when we talk about the vampire deck, these Mardu vampires love gaining life. So if you thought a 6-mana commander was good, let me tell you about an 8-mana commander. It's Lycia Sanguine Tribute 5 and Mardu for a 4/4 legendary creature vampire soldier. But Lycia Sanguine Tribute costs 1 less to cast for each 1 life you've gained this turn. So you're trying to gain some life. She has first strike and lifelink, and if you pay 5 life, you put 3 +1/+1 counters on Lycia. Activate this ability only on your turn and only once each turn. So very clearly she's looking at more of the drain kind of Mardu Vampires deck. You're trying to gain life as well as deal direct damage, and then pop her out and pump it up.
Yeah, I've seen Lucia decks here cost, generally speaking, for playing the commander, on average, I think it's like 4. And that scales with the game, where she just always is costing like 4.
Yeah, because even with the commander tax, you're still just able to gain so much life with random, you know, like extort triggers and shit like that. Like, you just can drain so easily in
Dude,
Mardu.
Mardu Soul Sisters?
Yeah.
So good.
Gross with her.
The other secondary commander that we have is Mathis Fiend Seeker, a much more reasonable mana cost. Red, white, black. Just Mardu for a 3/3 legendary creature vampire with menace, which is surprisingly good, guys. At the beginning of your end step, put a bounty counter on target creature an opponent controls. For as long as that creature has a bounty counter on it, it has... When this creature dies, each opponent draws a card and gains 2 life. So this almost feels a little group hug-ish kind of, you know, you're putting a bounty on everybody's creatures and trying to draw attention to other players on the board. People
it's a political,
pretty easily.
type of card. It's like, hey, we all want to work together to do this. You know, you'll get the benefit off of it, but it's also like, hey, you know, it's just the effect. It's not like I'm the one making you target that person's stuff.
Yeah, I think it's 100% flavor, and there's a lot of cool Cowboy Bebop decks that people make with this guy, but
oh shit, that's dope.
It's just you can only put 1 counter on your end step, and so it's just really, really, really slow.
Yeah, and the fact that it doesn't matter how many counters are on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Proliferate or anything like that is going to help you
it'd be sweet if, like, when that creature dies, you put on another creature or something like that, just so you can start loading the board up.
Chain it that way.
Yeah. But he's still super cool.
All right, so the last one is the Dragon deck. Cory, why don't you actually dive into Ramos Dragon Engine?
Okay, so...
Roar.
Yeah, this guy, I think he's been a card that people have wanted forever.
Yeah, they had like the eye, the...
Yeah, all the different body parts of Ramos. So he's Ramos Dragon Engine for 6 mana. He's a legendary artifact creature dragon, 4/4 with flying. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos for each of that spell's colors. Remove 5 +1/+1 counters from Ramos, and then add Progenitus mana, which is white, white, blue, blue, black, black, red, red, green, green to your mana pool. Activate this ability only once each turn.
So Wooburg twice.
Yes, it's double Wooburg. So he cares about lots of colored spells, or just load him up with counters and make a shitload of mana and just do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
True. You don't have to use colors to give them +1/+1 counters. You just need to remove +1/+1 counters.
So there's
and
that giant loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the general idea is just cast, you know, multicolored spells, build up your mana bank, cash that in to just cast like CMC, just big power cards.
Yeah, and so even though he's an artifact creature, since he has Wooburg in his reminder text or activated ability text, he's a 5-color legendary creature too, or 5-color commander as well. So you can really do whatever you want with him. He's just big mana, good stuff.
Yeah, literally. So the next one is Okagachi Vengeful Kami. So this one, another one that's just one in on the flavor. So Okagachi is 1 in Wooburg for legendary creatures. It's a dragon spirit. It's a 6/6. Got flying and trample, and whenever Okagachi Vengeful Kami deals combat damage to a player, if that player attacked you during his or her last turn, exile target non-land permanent that player controls. Decently powerful effect, but it does require your opponents to actually interact with you. I like to look at Okagachi as kind of a hands-off approach that's a Pillow Fort mimic.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird effect because they have to deal combat damage to you. And so it's just like, I'm just not going to attack you. Like, we're cool.
The last one we have is Scion of the Ur-Dragon. So dragons, like wizards, got a reprint that can be your commander. Scion of the Ur-Dragon is just really one of the most powerful dragons that you could play. So it's just Wooburg for a 4/4 legendary creature dragon avatar. It's got flying, and for 2 colorless mana, search your library for a dragon permanent card and put it into your graveyard. If you do, Scion of the Ur-Dragon becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, then shuffle your library. So there are just some absolutely broken things you can do with Scion of the Ur Dragon. Kind of similar to what Marisol is, a perfect toolboxy commander. It just wants you to have super powerful dragons in your deck.
Yeah, it's almost like a mix between like a really hard ramp / cheating mana cost deck and a Voltron deck, because you have to be able to protect the Ur Dragon, but at the same time you're able to just like pay 2 mana, get any fucking thing you want, and throw it out there and start.
Well, you don't have to do that, right? Like if you have a dragon that, I don't know, has indestructible or hexproof or something like that, just like they're targeting it. Hey, guess what? I paid 2 mana. You wasted your spell.
Yeah,
nice try, bitch.
It's. I think the closest comparison we have in another tribe is Sliver Overlord, which is usually the go-to for Sliver decks because it can tutor for any Sliver you want, and so you can just get all the best Slivers. And same with this guy, you can get all the best dragons.
And with Scion of the Ur Dragon, the most broken thing you can do with it is one of my favorite shells in general is just to do a reanimator strategy, because you're just always throwing your dragons into the bin, and then if you can just bring them back, like you are cheating costs so hard if you can do that.
And you're in Wooburg, so you can.
Yeah, you can do whatever.
Yeah, the hardest part is just if you ever have to actually play the dragons, because playing Scion of the Ur Dragon is difficult in and of itself. It is Wooburg just outright. Like, you're not playing that on turn 5 usually.
These precons also came with some cycles, so just something that each deck had, you know, a little bit of. And the first cycle we're going to talk about is the Kindred cycle. So we've got Kindred Boon. For 2 white, it's an enchantment. As Kindred Boon enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. 1 and a white, put a divinity counter on target creature you control of the chosen type. Each creature you control with a divinity counter on it has indestructible.
Cool.
It's good in a deck where you're being super aggressive and you're just always throwing shit at people. It's not the best.
Yeah,
but it's totally serviceable. And the next one is, I think, the second best one. It's kind of funny, like looking at the Kindred spells and the curses. We keep saying it time and time again, and I think the Magic community has said it time and time again. Simic does not need any help.
Blue's good.
So Kindred Discovery is the blue Kindred spell. So it's 3 blue for an enchantment. I'm already on board. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Generally speaking, you're choosing whatever tribe you're working with. Since it's in the Dragons deck, you know, there's your benefit. Whenever creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card.
Damn.
Yeah, not really much that needs to be
I love drawing cards.
Added to that. Like, it's an insanely powerful effect.
Yeah, off ETBs is super blue, but on the attack triggers, it's less blue than I would have thought, but it's card draw. It's just super good doubling up card draw. So the next one we've got is Kindred Dominance. So it's 5 black for a sorcery. Choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type.
I mean, just a good one-sided board wipe.
I think most of the time it's just going to be a one-sided board wipe, but every once in a while there's going to be a couple things that survive. And I think it's really, really good if you were just playing these decks against each other. I think it might be too good because it really just wipes everybody out.
Yeah, I think that there's one card one creature card that is in both the vampire and wizard deck.
Yeah, I know that. I don't think there's any cat overlap.
There's no cats.
There's one cat dragon, but it's only in the dragon
deck,
thing. But
yeah, it's not in both. Is what I was saying.
Yeah, I think vampire wizards would be the only tribe that would overlap.
Yeah. Next one up we've got is Kindred Charge. 4 red for a sorcery. Choose a creature type. For each creature you control of the chosen type, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. It is very red.
Yeah.
It is.
And even though it's 6 mana, that's fucking powerful, man.
Big effect. Double your power and toughness.
For everything.
Yeah. It's not just power and toughness. It's ATBs. It's like abilities, lifelink, double strike, whatever. Like if you have, I don't know, say some way to double your tokens, then you just get an even better effect.
Yeah, the card art is goblins charging, so I think that shows you exactly where this card is meant to be played. Because that's how you kill people. If you have 50 goblins, then now you have 100 goblins.
Yeah,
the last one,
like, do some shenanigans with blocking. Like, this card kills people.
Seriously. So the last one is stupid good. Drew, which one is that one?
We've got the Kindred Summons. So this one was in the cat deck, and I was super mad. It's because, like, this is the one that...
They had to give the cats something. It's cats, man.
True.
It was the only 2-color deck.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But I think this one is the best of the Kindred deck, or Kindred cards. And that's the reason why I said Simic doesn't need any more help, is because the best two are the blue and the green here. So it's 5 green for an instant. Choose a creature type. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control of that type. Put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest of the revealed cards and put them into your library.
So we just talked about with the red one, doubling all your things is really good. So this just tutors for the best things you have in your deck, basically, and just cheats them out.
I mean,
because
relative tutor, right?
I think because obviously you're most likely going to play this with whatever tribe you're using, but you can also do some weird, wacky stuff where you can stack your deck, don't only have one other creature type that shares with it, so you automatically get that one out.
Yeah.
Or
which, I mean, it's a jank tutor,
cards,
but also, like, this thing works stupid good with tokens. Because it doesn't care how you got the creatures, just creature cards that you reveal that match the type of the creatures you've chosen.
Yeah, and then it works really, really well if you use the cards that change the creature types, like Conspiracy and stuff. So you can just choose, like, demons or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you have 10 tokens, you get 10 actual demons straight out of your deck.
Yeah, it's just...
Or whatever you want.
Huge, powerful effect.
Yeah, and it's instant speed, so you can do it.
Yeah.
At somebody's end step, like...
Yeah, do it the end step before
7 mana
it's your
makes
turn,
it
win the game.
Fair, but it's still really good. So the next cycle we have it's a weird cycle, and I don't think anybody asked for these to come back, but it's curses.
Yeah, right? Yeah, these are the attack curses. And once again, we'll say, how many times can we say Simic does not need any help? So whenever the cursed player is attacked, there's an effect for both the attacker and the owner of the curse, the one who played it on them.
First one up, we've got Curse of Vitality, which is 2 and a white for an enchantment aura curse. Enchant player, whenever enchanted player is attacked, you gain 2 life. Each opponent attacking that player does the same.
So
again,
this is the worst of
it's
them.
a life gain benefit.
Like white.
By a lot.
Yeah, white.
By a lot.
Honestly, who the fuck cares about 2 life?
Yeah, if it was like 2 life or 1 life for each attacking creature or something like that, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be playable. This is just trash.
Yeah. The next one we have is Curse of Verbosity. So this one, I would say, is fair card draw. For 2 and a blue, got the curse. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, draw a card. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So this is the first of the curses where I look at it and say, I might actually play that, because it will definitely have the lure effect that you want curses to have. Like, gain 2 life, I don't give a fuck. I'm ignoring that all game. If I attack them incidentally, gain 2 life, great. But I'm not specifically attacking them to get that effect. I might attack people to get that extra card draw.
Oh, yeah. So the next one is Curse of Disturbance. It's 2 and a black for an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player, whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So you get an extra zombie. Like, you get at least a blocker when you swing all out.
True.
So it's okay. You get something to sack or you get a blocker, but it's just very slow.
I label it just as mediocre token gen because I
curses are.
Don't think anyone cares that much about it unless they're already in like a token strategy or zombie strategy where they can actually use that or they want to sacrifice. But like, yes, you're adding 4 power and toughness to the board just by having somebody else attack. But like, it's not the biggest lure even for you as the player who's playing this spell. So like, if I don't want to attack the player, even though I'm the one who put the curse on them to get that effect, I don't really know where that card belongs.
Yeah, again, because it's only whenever player is attacked instead of whenever a creature attacks a player or whatever, it's not quite enough to get all of your opponents to attack that player. So it's really not going to benefit you 3 times per, round of the table.
Yeah,
one
mana. Zombie every
What
once in a while isn't worth it.
The next one we got is Curse of Opulence. It's 1 red mana for an enchantment or a curse enchant player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a colorless artifact token named Gold. It has sacrificed this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Each opponent attacking that player does the same.
It's not too bad. It's super cheap to play.
This one seems a bit better.
You start getting that effect, and early game people are gonna utilize that. They're gonna want to get that token. It's kind of a pseudo ramp effect, right? But if you can do it every turn, then it's just legitimate ramp.
I was going to say, this is the one that I see having the most benefit if it's in your hand turn 1. You're going to play it and hope that you can ramp even 1 or 2 times per round of the table. That's a huge benefit for you and anybody else that's trying to play the game. You know what I mean? If they're going to attack with their first creature, of course they're going to do that with the curse.
Yeah, I think just making this 1 mana helps it so much because, like you guys said, it comes down early, and even if you're just playing red in addition to another color, having
and it's extra mana at any point that you need it, right?
So
like you can sacrifice the token whenever to get that mana. Just cash it in when you need it. You're good to go.
Yeah, just like the card draw. It's like, I could use next card. It's like, oh yeah, I can use extra mana next turn.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, even use it this turn, right? Like,
yeah.
So the last one we have is Curse of Bounty. It's 1 and a green for a curse. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, untap all non-land permanents you control.
Jesus.
Each opponent attacking that player untaps all non-land permanents he or she controls. So this one is like far and away, I think, the best one because you can abuse it so much. Like card draw is going to be good. Ramp is going to be very good. Like both of those kind of blow the other 2 out of the water, but all of a sudden you have vigilance effect. Right, you attack immediately, those creatures untap. Pseudo ramp, because you can have like Llanowar elves or anything, signets, anything like that, also going to untap. You've just got like general untap shenanigans that you can do. If you can get multiple like attack steps and things like that, it doesn't matter if you're doing damage, you just have to attack them. And if you're the player who played it, like, yeah, by all means, like, yes, you do the bullshit you want to do on your turn, attacking them, but I'm going to get massive benefit off of it.
Yeah, I would kind of be scared to play this because like it's really good, but I don't want to give that to other people.
Yeah, right.
It's too good if everybody has it. Well, everybody but the one person. But
like,
this is the first time. The best one, 2 mana, I think.
Oh, yeah, mistake.
It was a mistake because it's too good. It's way better than all the other ones. Yeah. Like all the shit ones are. If the shit ones were 1 mana, they might be playable. Yeah, but having the best one cheaper than the worst ones, no wonder no one was ever gonna touch those.
It's a bad name for a reason. But this is like the first, like, I would say, legitimately playable curse.
Yeah.
Well, and you're genuinely going to draw hate from whoever you curse with this because it's so good.
It draws everyone else into it.
They need to get that shit off the board.
Yeah, and it's
so they're going to kill you at all costs.
And just like how the other cards, the bad side is that they didn't care about the creatures attacking. With this, you only need to attack with one thing.
Yep.
It doesn't even have to survive. You just got to swing, and you get essentially an extra untap.
The last of the actual cycles that we're going to talk about here is part of this super cycle that WotC had going on. 1 of each color throughout the decks from 2015 on.
The card here we have from the super cycle for the Maga cycle is Magus of the Mind. So it's 4 blue for creature, human, wizard. It's a 4/5, and it has an activated ability blue and tap, sacrifice Magus of the Mind, shuffle your library, then exile the top X cards where X is 1 plus the number of spells cast this turn. Till end of turn, you may play cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. So this Magus is based off of Mind's Desire for the same mana cost as the original cost there. And it's a storm card. So shuffle your library, exile the top card of your library until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost, and it has storm. So this just slots into a storm deck. It's super, super good. It's basically just like one of the high-end finishers for storm deck.
Yeah, usually.
Well, being expensive, the overall power level of the card is just unfathomable in the right build.
Yeah, usually in a Storm deck, you want to avoid 6 drops unless they will win you the game. And this is just one of those cards.
Yeah.
So if you let this survive and you go around the table with it, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, or if it has, haste or anything like that.
Yeah.
So Mind's Desire is banned in every format, including Legacy. It's restricted in Vintage. As soon as you get one copy of it. Commander is the only place where you actually have full legality on playing it. If that doesn't tell you the power level of it, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Well, the last quote-unquote cycle that we have here is the Nega cycle. So the Nega cycle is just what I've called just cards that shouldn't have been printed, right? Or reprinted, as the case may be. So we had Cyclonic Rift in 2015, Atraxa and Thrasios in 2016, and then we got TP, which we'll talk about later, but definitely some overpowered cards. So we've been talking about all this Magic stuff. We haven't really described the beers at all. Cory, would you like to start us off? Or Garion, maybe you would.
Them beers.
I was drinking the Cross Fever Amber Ale from Epic Brewing, which is Utah/Colorado brewing. We love everything they do. They're really good. And this one is 5.1% and 20 IBUs. So it's about as easy drinking as you can get. And that really shows. It's super malty. It's just a beautiful amber ale. I think it's really straightforward in what it does. It's very, very malt forward, and then that's kind of the one note that it has. But it's super smooth, lots of drinkability. I would say, I know we use approachable a lot, but this is very, very approachable. And I think this is kind of just a standard amber ale. So if you like amber ales, definitely check this one out. But it's not doing anything too crazy, and I think that is perfectly fine because it is delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my notes on it is just that it is a malt forward beer, right? I think I had this one for Drew's Brews many, many months ago, but it's one of Epic's that, as far as their normal line, that I just continue to go back to.
Yeah.
My first taste on this at 11 p.m. at night when I tried this out a couple of nights ago was very hop piney forward,
really?
Which I think might have just been because I hadn't eaten anything or had anything to drink for 6 hours or something like that. It just felt very bitter. But honestly, after sipping it for an hour, the only thing I tasted was a really kind of watery malt forward beer. It's kind of crisp and clear, but it's almost faint. You know what I mean? It's not super, super saturated with flavor. But like Cory said, super approachable. It was pretty tasty.
Yeah. Smooth as hell.
All right, Garion.
And the one that I'm drinking is the Vernal Brewing Company Mama's Milk. It's an Imperial Milk Stout sitting at 8.5%.
So for a long time, I said that the Bullet Green Porter on Nitro was Utah's best beer. I think that this one has unseated the throne.
Really?
Yeah, I do think that this is now Utah's best beer.
That's because you haven't had the Shades Tomka Sour.
You're incorrect.
Blow your mind off.
I've had that one, and I still stand by.
I have not had that one, so we'll...
Garion, you'll love it.
We'll put it up to a vote. I will say that this is a very good beer. However, unlike the beer before, it is quite strong. It's very abrasive when you start drinking it. To me, it was really, really sweet. It was almost sugary sweet. When it came to the malt flavors, to me, it tasted more like a malted... what do you call that? It's not a syrup, but what do they mix in when you're brewing?
Extract?
Extract, thank you. It was very syrupy, extracty, and then a huge overtone of alcohol. You could definitely taste alcohol with this beer. It is sweet though, so I gravitate towards it. I liked it quite a bit. I don't know if I would call it Utah's best beer of all time, but it is quite good.
It's Utah's current best beer. Don't worry, it gets unseated, every 2 years. I think that the alcohol tones I didn't really get as much as what you have. I have had this beer several times, but I think that the malt, it takes all of the flavors of a milk stout that you want, and it capitalizes on them so damn well. It's smooth, creamy, malty, kind of a little bit chocolatey. it has all of those things that you want out of it, and it does them all so damn well.
Yeah, admittedly, it was very, very smooth.
Yeah, I wrote that it looks exactly like a root beer, and it's about as smooth as one without all the carbonation. Like you guys said, it's super, super smooth, as you'd expect in a milk stout. And there's just like, right off the smell, it's super, super malty with a lot of chocolatey notes too. And then there's just a little hint of vanilla on the back end that I was getting.
Yeah.
But like you said, Garion, all I could taste was alcohol, and it was
a lot
hard to drink.
Yeah.
But it was good.
It was good,
Yeah.
but it was a lot.
Really good flavors, but it was just very, very strong, which is weird because it was 8%, and then the next beer we have is an even higher alcohol.
Yeah. So it's the Templin Family Brewing. Got the Albion, which is their Belgian style ale, their the triple. This one, a lot of sweet beers that we have on this episode.
Yeah.
Like this one is funky. It's sweet. It's pretty light. It's nice and crisp still. Like uber refreshing. Like all of these things that I generally don't attribute to triples or to like Belgian style, like stronger Belgian styles with higher alcohol percentage. And then it just has this like right at the end after you get through like all of those flavors, it just has this alcoholic burn that just sits on the back of your tongue forever.
I mean, this one sits at a 10.2, but I tasted it as a 5. Like, I really did not taste the alcohol at all like I did with the Mama's Milk.
Yeah.
It just tasted like a really good ale. You know what I mean? It was like malty with a little bit of bitters and just like very balanced to where it tasted like a beer. Instead of tasting like a flavored beer, it just tasted like beer to me.
Yeah, I got a lot of the malts, but like right away it was just like that fruity banana esters, that funky town that you'd expect in a Belgian. But I'm kind of in the middle of you two because the alcohol wasn't super prevalent, but you could smell it and I could definitely taste it, but it wasn't overpowering. So that's really
it's
but
only
it
like
was
at the end.
really, really sweet and also really smooth.
And beer of the show.
The Cross Fever Amber Ale to me was a bit too bitter, at least at first, and that could have been my state of drinking at that point. I'm going to vote the triple. The Albion is really, really kind of middle of the road, tasty beer, malty and sweet, but not overly sweet. Next in line would be Mama's Milk, though, because it was quite sweet and good, sugary.
Cory, what about you?
I'm also on board for the triple. I don't know, I like funky stuff, and I've always liked Belgians. This one, I think it was a lot easier to drink than a lot of Belgians because a lot of them are like heavy,
funky.
Yeah, and a lot of them are higher alcohol, and you can taste the alcohol in those ones. Well, this one is super easy to drink, at least for me. So I think the funk was the funk that you'd expect. It was still super smooth, super sweet, super good funk. So I really like that one.
Can't really argue with any of those notes. For me, these are all Utah beers, and I've just said that Mama's Milk is the best Utah beer, so I am going to stand by that.
Yeah.
All right, let's try and wrap this episode up here. We've got some goodies out of these decks, some reprints, some just general good cards, and I've asked you guys, since you've had the experience of playing with the specific decks, to just give us a hint at the upgrades that maybe people would want to add.
I think like Cory was saying at the beginning of the episode, it's very easy to upgrade these decks because they're tribal and they tell you what they want. So like Cory was saying, like adding cats to the cat deck is never going to be bad.
Yeah.
You can play however you want. There's obviously a good and a bad way to do it, but even if you do like the least optimal way, you're still synergistic. Yeah. But we've each built at least one of these decks. So let's jump into it.
All right, so the first one we have are the winners from the Wizards. So first one I put on here, Cory, it's a favorite of yours of mine.
Love it.
It's a good old time. So it's Disrupt Decorum. 2 red sorcery. Goad all creatures you don't control. And it's got the reminder text here for you, in case you don't know what goad is. Until your next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So this card it's
a removal card, it's a free attack card.
It gets the game going, and like I love forced combats, so it's so red because it ruins control strategy so much.
Yeah, what's funny is that for the with this deck, I only have blue and red cards on my winners list. It does have the Kindred Dominance, I believe, which I don't need to talk about that card again. Very good. So the next one we have is Polymorphous Jest. So I love this card. For 1 blue with an instant, until end of turn, each creature target player controls loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with base power and toughness 1/1.
That's just a big middle finger to
So if someone wants to swing out, go nuts, neuter the shit out of them. Someone wants to, fuck on you. Well, now your creatures lose all abilities. Enjoy that. It doesn't target. This is basically like a reverse one-sided board wipe, I guess. Like it's a targeted board wipe for that person. It's really good in comboing with other spells that deal like X damage or, low amounts of damage across the board. It's a fun card. It's a goofy card, but it has the ability to just absolutely hose someone.
Yeah, just like Goad, it just messes everything up.
For sure.
Yeah. It's weird that the wizard deck has it, though, because I feel like it's most detrimental to the wizard deck because of the untappy kind of tappy shenanigans that wizards can do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so thematic for a wizard just to turn something into a frog.
Yeah.
Right?
Aha! Now it's everything.
All right. Next one we have is Portal Mage. This is another one I just absolutely love the effect on. It's so fun. So 2 and blue for a creature, human wizard. It's a 2/2. It's got a flash, and when it enters the battlefield, during the declare attacker step, you may reselect which player or planeswalker target attacking creature is attacking. You want to fuck on me? No, you fuck on this guy. And that's it.
I dig that.
Yeah, it's really good. Sometimes it's like, hey, can anyone do anything? I need some help. It's just like, yeah. It's not attacking you no more. He's attacking the fourth player over there.
I was going to say, it's a screw you and a screw him over there.
It always feels good when someone says, I think I can win. Or I think I've got lethal on board. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
Nah, dog. You ain't going nowhere.
No, you don't.
you done mathed up. Next one we have is Serendip Sorcerer for 1 blue. Creature, human wizard for 1/1. As the activated ability of tap, target creature other than Serendip Sorcerer has base power and toughness 0/2 until end of turn. Kind of similar to Polymorphous Jest, except it's repeatable. And it's a very unassuming card at first, but like it really, really fucks people up.
It can get rid of a whole lot of shit all at once if you try.
I mean, yeah, if you're abusing the untap mechanics for sure.
Yeah.
The last one we have here is Shifting Shadow. So this one, the summary is it's Chaos Warp on an enchantment. So it's 2 and a red, you put it on a creature, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you destroy the creature and reveal cards from top of your library until you reveal another creature. You put that onto the battlefield and attach Shifting Shadow to it, and that creature gets haste. So it's really good for cycling through your own deck if you want. Really good for filling up your graveyard every turn. Really good for giving your creatures haste and being able to attack in, just cheating stuff out of nowhere. The card's goofy, and a lot of the shit from the Wizards deck kind of matches that, but I think this one's just been a lot of fun to play with, and I think putting it into a different deck has a lot of potential for something like, I don't know, dragons. Just cheating out dragons time and time again.
Yeah, cheating out.
Dragons are good.
Yeah. And then I was looking at like ways to upgrade the deck. The immediate one that came to mind is just Sundial of the Infinite. And Nala wants to make tokens. They get exiled at the end of turn. Well, if you just end your turn before that happens, you can keep those tokens. Boom. Great. They've got Naban, Dean of Iteration. This one you actually need to have Inala on the battlefield because it cares about the triggered abilities. So casting a wizard, having that enter the battlefield, you make a token. You need that trigger to happen while Nala's on the battlefield because Naban will copy that. And that's really awesome. Narameha, Master Wizard, or Dual Caster Mage. They're both good additions. They have the ability to flash in to copy an instant sorcery. Narameha is the better version, aside from being a legendary creature, because she also just gives your wizards +1/+1. Thassa's Oracle from most recent Theros set. Just a win con on its own.
Very good.
Yep.
Especially if you can copy that ability. Like, that's pretty damn good. Vedalken Aether Mage is itself a wizard tutor that is a tutor for wizards, which is so dope. And then just wizard tutors in general. Spellseeker, Tribute Mage, Trophy Mage, things like that. Copying those types of effects. Like if you can copy a tutor for 1, you're probably going to do that. That's something that's going to be of value to you. Tribute Mage specifically can tutor for Send Out the Infinite. So great little combo there for you. Docent of Perfection is just like the wizard beater. Like
this is the go wide wizard.
Yeah, you have more experience on that card.
Yeah, so it's one of the flip cards from Innistrad, and I think if you have 3 wizards and it flips, then it gives all your wizards +2/+1 in flying. And so it's just like, these little dudes that really don't do a whole lot. They have ETBs and stuff. All of a sudden they get real scary and unblockable, and it's just like, I can't. I'm just gonna die.
Yeah, and the last one is Stony Brook Banneret. I think that's a really good addition to the deck because it makes your wizards cost 1 less. Which, if you're trying to copy your wizard spells and you have to pay 1 to do that, then you just pay the cost of the wizard and boom.
2 for 1.
All right.
Freebies.
Next one we have on our list, of course, is the Vampire deck.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple different builds of this. Some of them go kind of the big red and black kind of build, but the way that I would say a majority of people, including myself, build it is the super fast eminence forward. Let's dump vampires, poop them out onto the battlefield, and murder people. So some of the all-stars from the deck are Black Market. 3 black for an enchantment. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. Pay a black. Add a black mana to your mana pool for each charge counter onto the battlefield.
Cory, go ahead and say it.
Oh my god.
This is a kill on sight, guys. Don't let this card stick around.
Yeah, it because they're counters and not per turn type of thing, it gets out of hand so fast.
It's counters and per turn.
Both. Yeah. Well, it's just it's no good for anybody except the player, and then they're really, really swimming. The next one we've got is Sanguine Bond, which is 3 black for an enchantment. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. This is a combo card, but it's also just one of those cards that people know when you're playing with Mardu, all these weird lifelink and drain effects, they start to tumble out of control.
Yeah.
The next one we've got is Underworld Connections. It's 1 black for an enchantment aura. Enchant land. Enchanted land has tap, pay 1 life, draw a card. So it's sort of like a mini. It's sort of like a mini Phyrexian Arena, but it's on a land.
Yeah. I put this one on specifically because I thought it was interesting that we did have Phyrexian Arena in 2015 and Underworld Connections, and then now we only get the Underworld Connections, which is clearly much worse. But we're so desperate to have that sort of effect that we're like, yes, I will sacrifice one of my lands every turn to do this.
You still play it. Yeah,
I love the card, especially
in Mardu because of the interactions that you have to draw cards. You just pay it every time.
Yeah.
Another one we've got, surprisingly good, even though it seems super weird, is Captivating Vampire. 1 black for a creature vampire. Other vampire creatures you control get +1/+1. Already in the vampire token deck, an Anthem effect is pretty good. But tap 5 untapped vampire creatures you control, gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire in addition to its other types.
I hate this shit.
I read this card the first time. And I was like, for whatever reason, it just in my head was until end of turn. Right? I'm so used to like threat and effects that's just how it existed, right?
Yeah, then, steal it, gain haste, swing out.
And I was just like,
no.
Oh shit! I get to keep the creature. Fuck you! I'm doing this again, using your creature to steal other creatures.
Right. And the thing is it's not non-token vampires. So when you're pooping out tokens for every vampire you control, 5 vampires seems like a lot, but it's actually pretty goddamn easy to be gaining 5 vampires. Plop this guy out. You don't have to worry about haste because it's an activated ability. You just go. Pretty good. Last 2, we've got Blood Artist, 1 in a black for a 0/1 creature vampire, and whenever Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses a life and you gain a life. So it's, again, that sacrifice synergy plus a drain effect.
I mean, that's where the Aristocrat strategy comes in.
Yep, as many of these cards as you can get, I would advise. And then we've got Skull Clamp, which goes right along with it. It's 1 generic for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/-1, and whenever equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. Equip for 1. So you're just killing tokens and drawing cards. And drain a life.
Yeah, not bad.
Skull Clamp is another one that goes kill on sight. Skull Clamp has so much power, and it always is so unassuming. It's like, it's a token. You know, like you got to equip it. You know, you have to put on a token or something that's actually going to die or a creature that attacks, and you can always be like, oh, I'm just not going to block. But like the creature that they put it on is going to die. They put it in the deck for a reason because they know that it can go on those little 1/1 vampires, immediately die, immediately get your card draw.
Yeah, it's MVP in most.
Yeah, or decks. Yeah, exactly. Or there's sacrifice outlets. You don't even have to kill it with Skull Clamp. It just has to be on there.
Yeah.
And basically, to that point, when we talk about upgrades, that's I think whether you go big or little, one of the main upgrades you need is some free or virtually free sack outlets. So we're talking about Ashnod's Altar, Spawning Pit, Attrition, which isn't technically free, but it's, 1 black for an enchantment. Pay 1 black, sacrifice a creature, destroy target non-black creature. So you're getting benefits for destroying, or you're getting the benefit of destroying your opponent's creatures while also being able to sacrifice and gain the value. That's exactly the type of thing that Aristocrats wants to have. And the thing that goes along with that, because of this being a tribal deck, is some real cheap fast vampire. So we've got like Knight of the Even Legion, Bloodthrone Vampire. You're also going to toss in any of those Blood Artist type effects you can get, like Corpse Knight. These things happen fast. They create a huge disparity between you and your opponents as far as life goes, and then you can use that life to further enact your game plan, whether that's card draw or damage or whatever.
Yeah, what's kind of funny though is that we talk about like Blood Artist as such like a coveted card. It's got a high standard on it, right? And the difference is that it's a trait of life of 2, right? If it's just you and an opponent. But you gaining 2 life means so much less than you gaining 1 and your opponent losing 1.
And anytime you can get the cards that say each opponent, instead of target opponent, like Corpse Knight is an each opponent. These are the types of things that really start to take off. And to that effect, I've got an all-star ad, which a lot of people don't really think of. That's Purphoros, God of the Forge. It's 3 and a red for a 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god. He has indestructible. As long as your devotion of red is less than 5, Purphoros isn't a creature. But the most important text, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Purphoros deals 2 damage to each opponent. You can also pay 2 and a red. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. That's a cool little pseudo fire-breathing anthem type effect. But what you're really doing is taking advantage of the enters the battlefield, not cast. You're creating tokens, you're dealing damage to every motherfucker out there, and you're just whittling them down one by one.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Absolutely. And we do have a full breakdown of the Mardu Vampires deck in another episode, so you guys should definitely check that out. That was during our Brewers Week, and we had Garion kind of talk about the changes that he made to the deck and why. So definitely a good thing to look into if you're interested in that deck.
It's also on deck stats under Untap Upkeep Drink.
Ooh.
And Cory, I'm sure that you are ecstatic to talk about this deck.
Yeah. So this was the kitty cat deck, and this is the only one I wanted when they were revealed because I was like, oh, kitty cats.
Yeah, it was funny because Cory and I were talking about like the different decks. He's like, honestly, all I want is a cat deck. And I was like, honestly, all I don't want is the cat deck.
Yeah, I was like, perfect.
So I bought the whole set and just sold Cory the other one for the same price. I was like, dude, I want to see what you do with this deck. Turns out I didn't want to see what Cory did with that deck.
Yeah, this deck got real mean real fast because you don't think it's like fast and low to the ground because it's just a Selesnya kitty cat deck, but it usually killed somebody like turn 5 or 6. And then
it's so combat.
Yeah, and then you're just so far ahead a lot of the time.
Well, just like 3 power toughness that you get off of Arbo is surprisingly a lot.
Yeah. And so we just had some of the notable cards. One of them is Alms Collector. So it's 3 and white for a 3/4 creature cat cleric with flash. If an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead you and that player each draw a card. So it's kind of like Notion Thief, but it's in white. And some kind of card draw.
Which white needs, folks.
Yeah. It's very selective card draw. I just really like this because it hoses Sean's wheel deck so hard. Because it basically means that everybody doesn't get to wheel, they just discard their hand, and then I get to draw a bunch of cards.
I was going to say, effectively, it's like a counter spell, but also a bit of card draw.
Yeah, like they all discard their hands and draw 1 card, and I get to draw a lot of cards. And then the next one we have is a really, really good commander. I think it quickly shot up as one of the best Voltron commanders up there with SRAM.
For sure.
But it's Balin Wandering Knight. 2 white for a 3/3 legendary creature cat knight with first strike. Balin Wandering Knight has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it. And you can pay 1 and a white. Attach all equipment you control to Balin. So you just pump out as much equipment as you can. 0 drops, 1 drops, 6 drops, doesn't matter. The reason why equipment is quote unquote balanced is because you have an equip cost and a casting cost, but this just cheats all of that. And you just suit them up instant speed, swing out, kill people super easily.
Double strike, yeah.
Insane.
Damn.
Next one we have is just an all-star. It's Mirari's Wake. So it's 3 green-white for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land produced. So this is probably the best card.
I don't think you need to say anything about that.
Best card in the cat deck, even though it has nothing to do with cats. It's just a really, really solid commander card.
Did you nickname this Ferrari Steak?
No, that's just what a lot of people call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last time I heard Ferrari Steak was when we were cubing at Game Mop in Idle Falls. And Michael kept on talking to one of the owners or one of the managers there and just like, "Hey, yo, Nate, I got that Ferrari Steak." And I was just like dying. I was just like laughing.
It would be Michael.
Because I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then I realized what it was, and I was just like, fuck, that's a good card.
Yeah, seriously. So the next one we have is the Hammer of Nizan, which we talked about earlier, but I think it's easily one of the best equipment ever printed. I think it's up there with the swords because it can just cheat.
Yeah.
So many things.
Cheating equipment cost is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's used in a lot of like combo decks where you need to cheat Helm of the Host onto stuff and just weird like fringe stuff like that. But it's just a really, really good equipment.
Yeah, and the bonus is you get indestructible on that creature.
Yeah, you get indestructible and cheating stuff. So dope.
Yeah. When your bonus is that it gets indestructible, you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah. So the next one,
that's the ice.
Next one we have is Traverse the Outlands for 4 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library.
This card's dumb.
This card is super dumb, especially in Arbo. You're giving +3/+3 to whatever you want, so you can just play something, pump your cat, and then if you have extra mana, play this and get 5-6 lands for the next turn, and then start just doing some wicked stuff. But it's really good in green stompy.
Putting those onto the battlefield instead of into your hand is just fucking good. Yeah,
because it's like mono green Galta deck. Like if you can play this and get 12 basic lands, I'm okay. I'm doing that. And so when I was upgrading this deck, there were a couple ways to do it. I kept Miri in it because she's just really good at combat, and this was a very combat-focused deck. And I kept Nizan just because he can tutor for the hammer, but I didn't really go Voltron or equipment-based. I kept some of the better equipment. But one way you could do it is just upgrading it with all the swords and stuff like that. But I just used Arbo and just did a go big one-shot kind of build, and it was a ton of fun. So some of the upgrades I put are Adorn Pouncer, which is MVP hands down, because it's a 1/1 double strike for 1 and white that you can.
It sounds like pretty unassuming.
Yeah, what's the
double strike
ability? You can eternalize. So for 3 white, exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie cat with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcerer.
7/7.
Yeah, and so on turn 2, you can make this into a 4/4 double strike, and if you can give it haste or anything and start swinging, that's a ton of damage early on.
It's a 5-turn clock.
Yeah, and then later in the game, you can make it a 4/4 double strike and then pump it up to a 7/7 like you just said, Drew. And then at that point, you probably have a lot more stuff going on, more equipment, and you start killing people real fast. And then if you have Arbo out, you can pay 3 mana and make it a 7/7 double strike and then give it +7/+7 and trample. And you can easily kill everybody.
Yeah, you just one-shot people at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people forget about Double Strike, the fact that it just seems like double the damage. You're like, oh, instead of a 4/4, I'm going to take 8. The combat math is so hard because it's first strike and then regular damage. So, like, you can't fucking block the thing because you just die to it every time. That's wicked good. I like that.
So the next one I have is Prowling Serpapod, which is the cat. I think it's a cat snake or a cat serpent. But it just makes your creatures not being able to be countered, which I think is very powerful. It goes in a lot of just creature-heavy decks, and it's cat, so I threw it in here. The next one is a really, really good cat. It's Brimaz, King of Oreskos. So it's 1 white.
Kitty.
Yeah.
He's so good.
3/4 legendary creature cat soldier with vigilance. Whenever he attacks, put a 1/1 white cat soldier creature token with vigilance on the battlefield attacking, and then you do the exact same thing whenever he blocks. So you want to attack and block a lot in this deck, and you're already making kitty cats, so this just helps that so much. And next one I've got is I sort of just lumped these up, but there's Regal Caracol from was it Hour of Devastation? No, Amonkhet. And then there's Pride of the Sovereign or Sovereign, something like that. They just basically pump up your cats or make more cats. And there's a lot of other, like a lot of the Leonin cards. Those are easy upgrades because when they attack or block, they make more cats, or they give cats lifelink, or just
there's a lot of benefits around them.
Easy stuff like that. You don't really have to worry about a lot of things because you can either do combat or more combat with this deck, so you just throw the cats in there.
Yeah, and like the flexibility around like Arbo's ability itself. It's like you can do combat where you're focusing on one creature to be big and tough, or you can spread the board out and just like make every single attack count.
Yeah, and so the last one,
this last
I didn't
little
put this in the
upgrade
deck
is a fucking,
because this would be
fucked up.
Too much.
It's Lost Leonin is 1 and white for a 2/1 creature soldier or cat soldier creature with infect, and on turn 2 you can make him a 5/4 with infect.
So I'm someone who loves to play infect, who will do everything I can in a combat deck to add infect. And my first statement on this card is, this card's fucked up.
Yeah, that's why I never.
I know, right?
It'd be too easy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the card on its own's not fucked up. It's just that this deck makes it so gross.
Just Eminence just makes it so scary because that's a 2-turn clock.
Right. On turn 2. Yeah. You're like, oh god.
Yeah. So
the last deck we've got is the Durgans.
Yeah.
5-color.
So I just kind of nicknamed this section Deadbeat Dragons because a lot of the dragons are just not really that great. There's like a lot of legendary dragons that just do so many different things that the focus isn't there. So in my opinion, the best cards in the deck are Dragonlord Servant and Dragon Speaker Shaman. They respectively give 1 or 2 generic mana as a reduced cost for your dragons, which is huge. Just dragons are expensive. The next one we have is Hellkite Charger. So Hellkite Charger, 4 red for flying haste dragon. It's a 5/5, and whenever it attacks, you may pay 5 red, 7 mana total. If you do untap all attacking creatures, and after this phase, there's an additional combat phase.
Hell yeah!
This card kills people.
I don't like it.
Next card we got Wasitora, Nikoro Queen. 2 and Jund, that is red, black, and green for a 5/4 legendary creature. Cat Dragon, this is the Cat Dragon, shout out. She's got flying and trample. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, that player sacrifices a creature. If that player can't, you create a 3/3 black, red, and green Cat Dragon creature token with flying.
Hell yeah. Kitty cats.
Yeah, she's dope. Forcing people to sacrifice shit is strong. Making it so that every single time you do so, if they can't, you just get a free token that's going to be doing more damage. But she's dope. Next one we have is Fractured Identity. 3 white, blue for sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token. It's a copy of it.
Now this is the kind of removal that I love.
Yeah, I love this shit. Like, Fractured Identity is such a fun card, but it's so, like, you don't know where it's going to go. Like, the best...
I was going to say, it's almost on the point of being, like, not good, but also just crazy good. Because it is removal, but it's also like, you know what? I'm going to give everybody but you that crazy shit you had.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a...
See how this turns out.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like, even though you were so far ahead, I'm going to put you back, and I'm going to put everybody else far ahead, too.
Yeah. I think the best thing that you can do is we're playing an Esper deck with Phage the Untouchable.
Yeah.
And you just cast it on your own Phage and give everyone a Phage, and they immediately lose.
Oh, it's also really good with the Praetors.
Yeah.
Because they're scary. And having like 3 Vorinclexes out is awful.
Yeah, no one wants to
or
do
just
anything.
3 Shieldreds. Like, it's just a mess.
3 Shoulders is way better than 3 Vorinclexes.
Agreed.
Because, like, having 2 other Vorinclexes on the field that you have to worry about, it's just like, oh, I get to double my mana. Oh, I can't untap my stuff.
I get it once.
Yeah. And the last one is Crux of Fate. 3 black. Choose one. Destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragon creatures.
Super good.
So this is a board wipe that I put in a lot of decks because it's a 5-mana board wipe in black instead of 6 mana, which is the usual rate. And destroying all non-dragons usually destroys everything. It's rare that there's dragons out on the battlefield unless you're in a dragon deck. In which case, destroy all non-dragons is the best thing anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you run across that 1 in a million chance that you're playing against a dragon deck and they're a problem, then you're okay to have it there too.
For my upgrades, we've got Lathless Dragon Queen. Whenever you cast dragon, make another dragon. Dope. Dragon's Horde. It's ramp and card draw that focuses on dragons. Absolutely love that. You got Teamer Ascendancy. It's an enchantment that gives your creatures haste whenever you cast a big creature, which most dragons are pretty big size. You just get a draw card. Dragon Lord
Wicked good.
X. Any of the Dragon Lords from the cons block. Ojutai is pretty decent. Dromoka's like the big one. Dragon Lord Silumgar is also pretty strong. Just, they're really, really good. And the last upgrades that I would suggest adding to the deck, Fabro Elder, Dried Up Elysian Grove.
So good.
Chromatic Lantern, anything that allows you to tap your lands for a different color or to just get lots of mana of different colors is going to be a massive benefit to you in this deck.
Yeah.
Like,
basically any mana fixing.
Yeah, and if they're ramp as well, which Fabro Elder and Chromatic Lantern allow you to do, then it's just that cherry on top.
Real good.
All right, so we talked a lot about the decks. Let's talk about one specific card.
The elephant in the decks.
In the deck.
Yeah, one deck got this
True.
bad boy.
That's really why it's the worst. We've got Teferi's Protection, y'all.
Cory?
So,
do the honors.
So Teferi's Protection is 2 and a white for an instant. Until your next turn, your life total can't change and you have protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. Exile Teferi's Protection. So phase out means while they're phased out, they're treated as though they don't exist. They phase in before you untap during your untap step. So they don't ETB or anything. They're still there. They just can't be messed with. You can't mess with them.
Yeah, they're not blinking, so it doesn't fuck with your tokens or anything like that. If you're running token strategy, phasing is like a...
You're basically just
thing
removed
for you.
from the game until your next turn.
So, what is the boogeyman in the format?
Cyclonic Rift.
And what is the one card that beats Cyclonic Rift?
Teferi's Protection or Counterspell.
So,
See.
if that... I mean, yeah, that's good. But Teferi's Protection is like the card that just absolutely fucks on Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
Because it allows Cyclonic Rift to happen to your opponents that would normally be affected by it. But then all of a sudden you take yourself out of that equation, and then you come back, and it's just, hey, nice try, bitch. I see what you're trying to do. You're about to win because you're playing Cyclonic Rift right now.
Yeah, I think we've talked at length on a lot of episodes about Fairy's Protection and how I think it was a card meant for good, but I think at this point it's almost worse than Cyclonic Rift because less people have access to it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of the worst case of WotC trying to solve a problem by creating another fucking problem.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
oh, you know what we could do? Let's just add one card to one deck one time ever.
And in the
That'll
one
solve
color
the problem.
that needs the most help always.
Yeah, it's a good answer in the worst way possible.
Yeah. All right, Cory. Let's talk about power level. How do these decks compare to the previous sets that we talked about at the top of the show?
I think the previous sets, they're a lot more focused, but at the end of the day, they are just creature synergies, and so that has its drawbacks. It has its limitations. Drew, you live? So they're easy to counter. They're good in a vacuum, like they're good played against each other, but I think you really need to tune them up if you go and play them at a shop. But I mean, they're a ton of fun. Agreed. I don't know, because it's kind of hard to compare these to the other decks because they're just so focused on the tribe, and that's really it. Like there are some standout cards.
But that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Like the other decks, you have some diversity of what you can do. But these decks, it's like, hey, you can use this other commander. You're still focusing on cats. Hey, you can use this other commander. You're still focusing on like the general theme of what cats does, which is largely equipment.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think that's a very good thing for these decks. Like you said, they're better in a vacuum amongst each other than they are against the wild world of the decks that are out there.
It's just hard to compare. Like, dragons are always good, and wizards are usually always good, and vampires are really good. I guess I really focus on cats because like it's hard to compare. Yeah, these 10 cats compared to like these 10 cards in C15, because like cats are just garbage compared to all of that. But like, there's a lot of good synergies, and dragons are all really cool. There's a lot of good wizards, and Edgar Markov is just a fucking crazy old grandpa. and so
Soren's grandpa just like,
I think they nailed what they're going for, but I wouldn't say it's a standout. It's just like a weird blip on the map because these were a lot of fun. Yeah. But it's just like
I still think that
I like
better series in the Commander series just because they were so focused straight out of the box and they were like so fun because you knew exactly what you're getting out of them. Whereas some of the other sets, it was like you're not really sure. You see what the like quote unquote top commanders or head commander is, and you're like, oh, I kind of get what's going on. And there's like 8-10 cards for each of the other commanders. You're like, why is this in my deck? I don't like this.
Yeah.
But the fact that these sold so well following C16, I think shows that they were geared towards commander players. You know what I mean? They may not be more powerful than C16, but because they're tribal, there are people who emotionally like attach to these decks. Like, goddamn, them Mardu vamps, that's my shit. Them kitty cats. I think they're more fun than they are powerful, but I don't necessarily think that in the grand scheme of things that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I think that the worst thing about C17 is that this is the first year that they were like, hey, how about we go from 5 decks to 4?
Yeah, I think that upset a lot of people because...
Yeah, I didn't even actually realize it until like I had bought them and was like, why does this feel so much more expensive?
Yeah, because I think they upped the price too, because it was $35, and then they went to $40 and one less deck. So it's like you have to pay more.
I got the Edgar Markov deck for $30.
Oh shit!
You got a fucking steal.
Yeah,
dude.
I know.
Yeah, I think they MSRP'd at $40, which all the previous years were $35.
Yeah,
and so they made less decks and upped the price.
I paid $120 for the full set.
Still though, at only 4 decks, that still sounds kind of bad.
Yeah, I think they did it because they play a lot better.
Sorry, I paid $150.
Oh shit!
I'm trying to remember.
Oh, okay, damn.
I mean, that's saving $10. Yeah. But I think they played it they did it because they were meant to be played against each other in a play group of 4. But then, what do you do if everyone buys the fucking wizards? Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's just like, oh yeah, we built this to play in a vacuum.
great. You know that they're going to be played like once or twice in a vacuum, and then they're going to be played against other decks.
Yeah.
Like, people don't just keep these sets together to just only play against each other always. That's just not how that works. Let's redirect this to the Eminence ability in Commander.
Good God.
Is this a good thing to have? And is it something that we should look to being repeated? Cory, your take, and then Garion, you.
So this basically makes your commander an indestructible, hex-proof, can't be touched enchantment. Because it's in the command zone, it's always doing stuff right from turn 0. You're always getting something.
You're speaking the words that I want to have, dude. I want a hex-proof, indestructible enchantment. Like, give me that. Like, don't touch my shit. It's mine.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful, and I think I don't know if they did a good job. Like, some of these effects are way better than other effects, but
yeah, even in a vacuum, you our deck. There's a reason why it's so good. Like, you literally just have to play the spells that interact with the tribe in your commander.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have to do anything. Like, literally never have to cast your commander, and you get bonus effects. Like, Inala, you're taxed every time you want to do that. Very similar effect, but you get taxed for it. The cat, you start to really see the benefit once you have cast it, and you can start just doubling the power level. Like, the +3/+3 is huge, but as soon as you can double that power level, like, it gets exponentially better. And the Ur Dragon, like, you're never actually casting that card, so, like, the Eminence effect is like, yeah, it's cool. I get to reduce the cost and, like, basically just ramp you. But dragons are expensive anyway, so where am I at on that?
Yeah, I think it was an okay mechanic personally. I hate playing against Aloro, so I think maybe they should have seen, like, let's not make anything like this. But no, they said, let's make more decks like this.
You're
saying it's interesting.
Do not repeat.
I'm on board for not repeating, because, like you just said, you don't even have to cast your commander. So if we're playing commander, what's the point of having a card that you're never
build around this
cast?
creature, and let's never actually cast the creature. Garion, your take, go.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Even as an Edgar Markov player, love the guy, love the deck, it does what I want it to. I still think because it's unique and only a few cards do it, it makes it so imbalanced for the rest of the people who want to, in a vacuum, it's like, okay, we all have Eminence, even though some are better than others. At least we can all do this. But when you walk in, like, I personally experience this all the time. If I put down Edgar with everybody else, they're like, what the fuck, man? Come on. Because you're doing shit from turn 1. You know what I mean? The second you start playing vampires, you are synergizing with your commander, whereas everybody else has to try and cast their stuff. I think it's a worse version of experience counters, and I wasn't hot on those either. I think the whole idea of a 4-person pod, the only benefit is maybe that it makes the game shorter, but, like, we want to have some interactability in a 4-person pod. We want to be able to deal with things and answer each other's threats, and by creating an unanswerable threat that just is impossible to answer from turn 1, I don't think it's
I agree with both your sentiments there. Like, having, like, I joke about having, a non-interactable enchantment, but that's because I love to play enchantments that, like, attacked. But I also like to play those enchantments, right? Like, playing the enchantments is part of the strategies that I play. Yeah, and so
if you have to pay for them, that's totally different.
Nice idea, but I think that it was executed in a way that wasn't the best.
I don't know. I think the decks are cool. I think Tribal would be cool to revisit, but I just think the Eminence ability itself is just it's too much.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's the correct statement there, is that Tribal absolutely needs to be revisited, and they need to do what we're hoping for C17, which is to go to tribes that need extra support, that need the help, and just go to some fucking janky, weird tribes that people don't expect.
Don't do fucking elves, please.
Do horses.
Yeah, it was weird because, like, we were predicting. Horses, that'd be dope.
I think Merfolk would be a really cool middle of the line. Like, they're really good.
But Merfolk is good in 60-card formats because you can double up on a certain effect,
Simic doesn't need help.
Yeah.
True. True.
But what if they did Azorius Merfolk?
Sultai. Oh, Azorius would be cool.
Or Bant. No, because then you're still getting support to Simic. Let's get to the last question. The question I always like to ask here. Was this a successful product? I mean, based on the fact that we all have one of these decks at minimum, I feel like we can't say no.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a yes. And the fact that some of the cards are worth $50 should tell you a little bit.
I feel like that makes it a less successful product, right? Because it's so limited. Like, people are buying a deck not to play the deck, but to get a single card. To me, that's not a successful product. That's them fucking up with one card.
Yeah, I think that's the weighted element of that question, is that who are we asking? Because if we're asking us, sure, we bought it. Are we asking WotC? Definitely.
They made money.
They sold some fucking, some decks. So, I mean, all around, I think it was obviously a successful product. We still talk about it. I think it's still played. People are still buying them when they can find them, although I don't know how many people are finding them.
Hard to find and are expensive as fuck. Like, Markov itself is like $160.
Yeah, I think it's a thumbs up.
I will give it like 45
degrees
for me, because I think that some shit was just broken. One card specifically, yeah, exactly. Like, one card just should never have been printed.
Yeah, but I think that's a pretty good review of this C17 release of decks from WotC. Of course, we lost one of our 5 decks, so we only had 4 decks this time, but they were very flavorful, and we obviously, all 3 of us really enjoyed them as far as personal products.
Yeah, and having 4 decks means that we get to dive a little bit more in depth in the decks.
But thank you guys so much for dealing with our socially distant podcast here. This is obviously our first remote episode, so any of the technical difficulties that we may or may not have experienced, just deal with it. Love us anyway. Try and go along with us. We're trying to work them out. But to be honest with you guys, I work in the news, so I'm over talking about it. It sucks. So let's all sit at home and listen to some good
stay
podcasts,
safe.
You know,
stock up on beers. Forget food. Stock up on beer.
Wash them.
Well, I mean, beer's just calories.
Y'all.
Exactly. Yeah, it's beer and toilet paper. That's all you need.
Yeah, and if you don't say it as beers is calories, like, you're not doing it right. That's something personal note, you know.
All right, guys. As we like to say on this podcast,
have fun,
but stay safe out there.
Wash your hands and your ass.